issues that we covered after the break. So please join me in welcoming Sabrina.
Well, thank you so much. I want to start off just by saying I'm so excited to be here. This has really been a big dream for me, so thank you for taking the time. You can just wake up a little bit. I know that everyone's probably feeling a little bit irritable, so I'm just going to get started. This is my niece, Jasmine. Jasmine is 9 years old. Jasmine weighs 69 pounds. When I was 19 years old, I weighed 69 pounds. By the time I was 19 years old, I suffered from anxiety, OCD, some sort of eating disorder, and panic disorder. By the time I was 19 years old, within a span of 8 years, I lost 7 close family members. My eating disorder had been at its peak, and my boyfriend had left me. I feel incredibly privileged to be here today because there's so many amazing people who suffer from mental illness that haven't had the opportunity to speak out and tell their story. So thank you for that. I'm going to begin by telling you a story when I was 24 years old. I was in my kitchen cutting up a red pepper. I remember it like it was yesterday. I was chopping it up, and then all of a sudden I had an image that I was going to stab my boyfriend with a knife. I freaked out. I threw the knife away. Oh my God, what if I do? I don't want to do this, but what if I do? And this thought kept coming back, and it felt so real. To the point where I'd wake up in the morning, and I'd sneak into the room, and I'd put my head on his chest, just to make sure that he was breathing and I didn't do something in my sleep. Then I would try and go to the gym, occupy my mind, keep myself busy, but then everything felt like it was a subliminal message, like I was going to stab my boyfriend with a knife, like I wanted to. I'd try and listen to music, I couldn't listen to music anymore. Try and watch TV at the gym, couldn't watch TV at the gym. So what did I do? First of all, I admitted that I needed help. Out of all the years of suffering through anxiety, my eating issues, I never said that I needed help. Oh, I can get through it, I'm going to be fine, I'm going to be fine. I finally admitted that I needed the help. I called the helpline. I reached out to someone that I hardly even knew. And then I made an appointment with my family doctor. Later on, I was diagnosed with pure OCD. What is pure OCD? So pure OCD is a type of OCD where it brings on intrusive and unwanted thoughts, images and impulses so far outside the character of who you are. And in fact, it's been proven somebody with pure OCD is almost one of the least likely people in the world to actually act upon this thought because it generates so much anxiety. It is debilitating, meaning I didn't want to go to work. I didn't want to do anything. I wanted to be locked away in a white room and hide me from everybody because I don't want to do this thought that I keep seeing inside my head. So from there, mental health looks different in many different aspects, right? So whether it is OCD or anxiety. And that brings me to another time in my life. So anxiety, it was so bad that I couldn't even be at home by myself. I couldn't be in the house alone. My dad would go out, I had to be with him. If I was going to be going to the store for 2 minutes, I wanted to be with my dad. If my dad was going to pick up my mom, do not leave me in the house alone because, oh my God, I can't be in my own thoughts. I was 19 years old, and from the beginning of Walkley Road to Algonquin College, I would get off the bus and I would walk to school. Why would I walk to school? Because I had so much anxiety while I was sitting on the bus that I would rather walk 2.5 hours to school, to my college every single day, there 2.5 hours, and back 2.5 hours rather than sit on the bus. So then there's coping mechanisms for anxiety. And you're like, what the heck is she doing dropping these wrappers everywhere? Well, a coping mechanism that I do is I chew gum obsessionally. So by the time I was 19 years old, I was chewing 15 to 16 packs of sugar-free gum a day. I mean the super packs. So what would happen there? I would go in excruciating pain to the point where my brother would have to pick me up and put me in the car and drive me to the hospital. Because inside sugar-free gum, there's something called sorbitol. And sorbitol is a sugar alcohol. And when consumed in large quantities, it's damaging and poisoning to the human body. So the interior damage that's been done to my stomach, I can't even express to you enough because it's unrepairable. So do I still chew a lot of gum to cope with my anxiety? Yes. Do I chew as much as I used to? No. Do I chew sugar-free? I can't. And why can't I? The second I have one piece of sugar-free gum because I abused it so much, my body knows. I go in cramps, pains, I'm holding my stomach, rocking back and forth. It's terrible. So that's one portion. So the anxiety and then trying to manage it, and there's the healthy ways of managing, and then the not so healthy, being the gum, not so healthy. So then there was the point when I was in my eating disorder, the darkest moment of my life. I remember looking in a mirror, and my eyes looked caved in. I couldn't even recognize myself anymore. And this is when I was 69 pounds, right? So my hair was brittle and dry, falling out. I had bald spots, okay? I was so thin that my tailbone was sticking out, that when I would sit on the couch, I had to put a cushion underneath my bum on the couch because it hurt to sit down because I was so thin. Always so cold. Had a heating pad on me all the time. And now what are the repercussions for lack of nutrition? Well, now, at 27 years old, I have osteoporosis. That's bone loss. So 90%, the doctor said my body's like a 90-year-old. If I was to fall, I could severely break a bone. I have no estrogen level. A woman needs estrogen in order to have a baby or give birth or even have a menstrual cycle. So if I wanted to have a baby tomorrow, it might not happen. It could take me years, it may never happen. So that's due to the lack of nutrition. So now there are moments in our lives where we wonder, oh my God, I was there and how did I get out of that? And that reminds me of this time where my family got evicted from their home. Now that was no fault of their own, it happened and it was a bad situation, but I lived in my car. I was working 3 jobs. And this is why I say never judge a book by its cover, because although I was working 3 jobs, I lived in my car and no one knew. Crazy, right? In those moments, that's when you find your deepest inner strength, deep down inside, and you somehow pull through. And then you look back later and you're like, wow, I made it through that. I did it. But mental health doesn't just affect the person who's going through the situation. You need to take into account that there's your family and your friends, perhaps your relationship that you're in, that is also affected by what you're going through as the person with the mental health. So I can't even begin to explain the amount of disagreements, misunderstandings I've had when trying to express my mental health. The problem is with mental health is that if you don't have it, it's quite hard to understand. So you really need to become patient with that person and learn and find a proper balance together in order to find even ground and really create this support group that works. So when did my true healing begin? Like I said, 19 to about 24 is when my true healing began. I was at an event, much like I am today, but like 10 times bigger. And there was all these women standing up and they were speaking about their inspirational stories, things that they had gone through and how they had overcome it. And I stood there beside my boss, who was anything but understanding. And I mean anything but understanding. She used to be on my back when I was so thin saying, do you have an eating disorder? Do you have an eating disorder? And this is before I even admitted anything. So I used to hold all that in. And here I am at this event and I'm crying beside her. And I'm thinking, wow. These women are so brave to speak out and tell their story. I want to do that one day. I want to inspire and help other people speak out about their mental illness. But I knew that I can't do that unless I help myself first. So I reached out to the woman who actually organized the event. I hardly knew her at all, and then my true healing began. I was eventually referred to the Royal Ottawa, where at first I was so excited because I'm like, wow, there's finally hope. Because I've gone back and forth trying to manage things and figure things out. There's finally hope for me. My first appointment, oh my God, guys, I was so embarrassed. I was afraid to walk in here. I felt so exposed, like everyone's gonna know I have a mental illness. In fact, I made my mom come with me because I was so nervous that, oh, everyone would know it was me. But now I know better, which is why I'm speaking out to you today. Because I got the help I needed and I can speak about it. I learned 3 valuable lessons. What are they? Number 1, mental illness is a real illness. Just because you don't see it on the outside and everything looks great does not mean there's deeper things going on the inside. It should be taken just as serious as, like we mentioned, diabetes, for example, or cancer. It's a serious illness. Number 2, support. Incredibly important to find a good support system. Not only from your family and friends, because I wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for the amazing support that I've received from my family and friends. In fact, I have 4 members here that came to see me today speak because it was like my biggest dream. The ones who motivated me and said, you know what, Sabrina, you're going to make it. You're going to do this and just keep going. So support, not just from everybody else, but supporting yourself too, to have that backbone, to have that inner strength to say, you know what, I can do this today. I'm going to get up and I'm going to motivate myself and I'm going to move forward. And lastly, the most important lesson I learned was to live label free. So although I said I have an eating disorder, I'm dealing with OCD and anxiety, my name is Sabrina and I'm not my eating disorder. I am not my OCD and I am not the depression I've gone through. I am going through these things, but that is not who I am. Mental illness affects 1 in 5 Canadians. So take a look around in the room right now. Take a look at 4 of your friends. Take a look at yourself. Because chances are, one of you will at least go through some form of mental illness in your lifetime. So now, how did I recover? How did I get better? I had the program at the Royal that I was involved in to help me cope with my OCD, my Pure O. Amazing program. Then I meditate. Every single day I meditate. I go to the gym Monday to Friday. I know that I cannot go to the gym if I don't eat properly. And going to the gym makes me feel good. So I make sure that I eat. I'm active, I get out. And the best part of it all is, so in the beginning of the story I said, you know, when I was 19, I lost 7 close family members in a span of 8 years. My eating disorder was at its peak and my boyfriend had left me. And he had left me with misunderstandings. But now I'm married to that man today, as of a year ago, last year. So there is hope. There is light at the end of the tunnel. You just have to have the motivation to stand up and to speak out. So if I'm going to leave you with anything today, any little thing to take away with you when you leave is live label free. Be who you are. Speak out. If you are going through something, speak out because you can find the help that you need. Be a support system to your friends. Don't judge people. Don't judge yourself. And not only that, but live. And don't just live, love to live. Thank you.